Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Very Connected podcast. And we've started doing these podcasts now as support groups. So, um, all of our events from here on out will be considered support groups just because we want to try to cater to all of you and what your needs are. And some people, that being a support group is a little bit more helpful in helping some people pre-op that are needing some requirements met. So, that's where we're going with this. And today we're being joined by Rodolfo. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. It's very nice to be here again.
And the topic on today's radar is going to be on self-sabotage. And I'm really excited. Rodolfo and I was talking just before we went live and talking about this topic being a really popular topic amongst people. And I think part of that is because we start on our weight loss journey and we're going down this road and we're all excited and we have all of these great things happening. But then these little tidbits of maybe it's like fear or different things kind of creep in, guilt or shame or like different emotions that are kind of on that lower scale creep in. And then we start doubting ourselves. And then we kind of start going down this road of nothing's working. And then it kind of gets us in this field of like feeling like it's not possible. So doing things that make it not possible. And we're going to be kind of talking about and steering towards basically, whenever you get stuck in one of these cycles, how to kind of align more with your intentions of what you're wanting and looking at maybe some of the hidden things behind why we self-sabotage. And I almost like to call it instead of sabotage, self-protection, because I think we're protecting ourselves in some way from being hurt or from being in pain. And like if we hurt ourselves, no one else can. I don't know. It's what's the why behind these behaviors? And we're going to be talking about how to bring this into more self-awareness because I always believe self-awareness is the biggest way that we can really just latch in and take more control of our life. And we're all about empowerment. And I know Rodolfo he's a coach and just full of knowledge. Rodolfo, I know you've been on these events for so long with us. Let us know if you're joining. We have all these people that are saying hello. We want to say hello to each and every one of you from all over the US and Canada. It looks like we have some joining from Canada. So we want to say hello. Keep doing that. Keep commenting. And I'm going to allow you, Rodolfo, to kind of tell us more about yourself and why you got into doing coaching and especially this niche market with being in people that's either I'm going to call it metabolic wellness because we're kind of moving towards that with being, making sure that people's health and metabolism is working for them in a great way.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for this invitation. I love to be in this space. I feel so comfortable. My name is Rodolfo Alvarez. I'm a mindset coach. I'm an engineer, and also I have a master's in science. I'm from Chile. I moved to the US actually 3 years ago, and I'm living in Miami, Florida. I saw that there's someone, Rhonda, in Florida. So I'm in Florida too. That's exciting. And my journey doing this work and supporting individuals in their weight loss journeys started the year 2015. In that year, I created a coaching program called Balance because I felt that the solutions that were offered in Chile to support people in their weight loss journeys were not enough. Most of them focused on the diet, but not on the mindset piece. And I felt that piece was so important, like managing your habits, managing your thoughts, working on the self-confidence, determination. And that's why I created that program. And then the year 2022, when I moved to the US, I connected with Barry Nation. And since then, I've been one of the experts of that community. So I have created different programs connected to wellness and well-being, but my approach has always been the mindset piece. And I'm very passionate about this topic, which is in particular self-sabotage, because it's something that affects people every day. We are not aware of that, right? And it can harm the outcomes that are important for us or the results that we want to accomplish. And I have seen this pattern present in the bariatric community. And that's why I created, in particular, this class and classes connected to the topic. I think that it's always great to understand why we sabotage ourselves, also to detect when the pattern is emerging so we can take action immediately. And we don't allow it to like keep going because it might be too late. And I don't want that to happen to you. If you're here today with us, you're connected to the class. I want you to learn the tools so you are able to start using them. So that's my introduction. Is that okay, Brenda?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I think it's so important because when you have tools to be able to do something, it's kind of like, for example, weight loss surgery, because probably people on this call, some of them may have experienced that. And when you have a tool, I'm going to call it a tool or something in your awareness to help you on your road, why not? Why not? And make the road a little smoother. It's just like when you have went through some kind of challenge and you share that with a friend and what worked for you, and then it works for them and it helps them. It's one of those things that makes your life just a little smoother. Why not help somebody else in their road and not have to recreate the wheel? So, Rodolfo, thank you for sharing all of this and maybe some tools. And I just want to say, if you're listening on this call, you're meant to be here. And I want to say that this could be a pivotal change for you today. It could be something that just alters your course of where you're going and what's going on in your life and drastically moves that into alignment for you. So,
Excellent. Great. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, great. Oh, one of the things that I forgot to share, which is important in terms of this class, is that since I was a kid, I always struggled with my weight. Okay. I haven't had bariatric surgery, but I was able to control my weight, I would say, when I was 25 years old. And that's what inspired me to create this program, the program that I was talking about, which is balance. So some of the tools that I'm going to share with you today are tools that I used myself in my journey. Okay. Now, we will talk today about self-sabotage. And one of the things that I would like to do first is kind of like come up with some definitions. Okay. Self-sabotage happens when the actions that we are doing are not aligned to the goals, the outcomes that we would like to accomplish. So, for example, maybe you had bariatric surgery and you know what are some of the things that you're supposed to do. You might have some water every day, right? There's a water intake that you should hit. Maybe you should have some vitamins, right? Some supplements. Maybe there's an eating plan that you're supposed to stick to with a specific number of proteins, etc. And you might find yourself not sticking to what you're supposed to, not doing what you know that you're supposed to. That's self-sabotage. And self-sabotage might manifest in your bariatric journey if you had the surgery, or it might manifest in other areas of your life. Okay. I work, for example, with high-performing women, and sometimes they don't connect with their potential and they sabotage their jobs, their relationships, their personal projects, a business, for example, that they have in mind, and they don't do the things that they are supposed to. Okay. Now, why do we do that as humans? Why do we sabotage ourselves? Our behaviors as humans are motivated by two forces. One of the forces is seeking pleasure. The other force is avoiding pain. So I want you to actually visualize a prehistoric human walking by nature. And I want you to imagine that this human sees an apple that is hanging on a tree. It's likely that this person is going to get close to the apple and start eating, right? And picking the apple and start eating. That behavior was motivated by seeking pleasure. The person, when they eat the apple, they experience pleasure. So they were searching pleasure. On the other hand, let's say that this human sees an animal that looks like a threat. It's likely that that person is going to experience anxiety, a pressure over the chest. The body is going to feel a sense of discomfort, and this person will run away, escape. protect him, herself, right? And that behavior is motivated by avoiding pain. When we're sabotaging ourselves, the avoiding pain switch is on. There's something that we are avoiding. And the interesting thing about self-sabotage is that sometimes we are not aware of that. We know that we're not doing what we're supposed to, but we don't understand why we're not doing what we're supposed to. Actually, 2 months ago, I remember that I facilitated a class in Nation, and we were talking about self-sabotage. And one of the attendees of the class shared that she needed to go to the doctor because it was time. She was supposed to go to a follow-up, but she hasn't scheduled the appointment. And we started exploring why. And then she shared that there was a fear that she had, a fear of failure, going to the appointment, getting on the scale, and then seeing a result that she would not be proud of. And that was what she was avoiding. And that's why she didn't schedule that appointment. So if you are not doing today what you are supposed to do, that's because you're avoiding something. And the first step to overcome self-sabotage is to create awareness on what are you avoiding. For example, let's say that you struggle with emotional eating. And when you get back from work to home at nighttime, you experience anxiety, right? And maybe you don't like to feel that emotion. It feels very uncomfortable in your body. So maybe the way you disconnect from the emotion is eating something. And you eat something that it's not in your eating plan, right? Something that you shouldn't eat. You are avoiding that emotion. And that's why you're eating and you're sabotaging yourself. So again, there's something that we are avoiding. I remember another attendee from a previous masterclass. She shared that she wasn't hitting her movement goal. She wasn't walking. And we started exploring why that was happening, like what were her concerns. And she shared that she had this fear of walking and then maybe having an injury and feeling that her body wasn't prepared yet to kind of like push herself. So the interesting thing is that if we don't have these conversations and we don't create this clarity on what you are avoiding, then it's going to be hard to manage that thing that you're avoiding. With the clarity of understanding what's what you're avoiding, then we can create a strategy. If, for example, you are avoiding anxiety at nighttime, you can get some tools to manage that emotion. If you have fear of having an injury, then you can create a strategy to maybe have a movement plan in which you protect your body. Or maybe you like work out or go for a walk with someone that supports you. So let me know by the chat if this is making sense. I would like to know. And Brenda, am I being clear? Give me some feedback, please. I would like to know. How are we doing?
Yes, we did have a comment. I think all of that so far sounds really clear. I think that makes complete sense. Knowing, like, kind of getting to the root of something, like whatever it is that you're wanting to do, whether it's drink more water, whether it's eat more protein, whether it's, like you said, walking or doing physical activity, um knowing what's behind that and maybe why you're not doing it, because then you can take steps, and maybe it's getting extra support. Candace said, that's me exactly, anxiety eating, but still doing it, knowing it's wrong while I'm doing it. So I asked her to tell us more. Somebody said light bulbs going off for me, thank you. And many people are saying very clear. So
I have a message. Candice is the person that said that, right? The comment about anxiety. Okay,
yes.
so I have a powerful message for you. If you still do it, knowing that it's not good for you, it's probably because you don't have the resources that you need to regulate your emotions. And food is the only mechanism available. Okay. When I work with people on emotional eating, I feel that there's a lot of kind of like guilt and shame of doing something that they know is bad for them, but actually they keep doing it. And we need to understand that emotional eating is a problem of emotional regulation, which means you don't have the tools that you need in that moment to manage or tackle the emotion. Given that, you connect with a resource. What is this resource? Food. Food covers the emotion. Food helps you to disconnect with the emotion. So what you need to do is to learn tools that will help you to regulate these emotions. So then you don't have to turn to food. So the beginning is having that perspective, the perspective of like, oh, there's a skill which is called self-regulation that I don't have. And I can work to cultivate this skill. Okay. So if you're in this goal and you struggle with emotional eating, I want you to have clarity on that. There's an ability, a skill that you didn't learn, that some people learn. They learn to manage or regulate their emotions, right? If you struggle with emotional eating, it's likely that for you it's hard to manage the emotions and you don't have those skills. And fortunately, you can learn those skills. Now, on the slide that I'm showing, there are different icons or signs, okay, that you can see. The first one, for example, is the scale. So not tracking your food. That could be a way in which you might be sabotaging your weight loss journey. The second one is a clock, which represents procrastination. Maybe you're supposed to prep your meals, cook beforehand, right? And then you don't do that. And you find yourself eating whatever you find because you don't have your food prepared. The third one represents different types of emotions, right? So maybe you turn to food because you don't know how to deal with your emotions. That's a way of self-sabotage. The other picture represents like a boundary, okay? And I put that picture because one of the patterns that I've seen in bariatric patients that generate self-sabotage is not knowing how to set boundaries. So for example, they go out, they meet with friends, people offer them to eat things that they are not supposed to, and then they don't know how to manage kind of like rejection or judgment, and they say yes, and they please others, but actually they don't set the boundaries that they need to set to protect their integrity and health. And the last one is connected to not sticking to your eating plan or the diet that was provided to you by your physician or dietitian. So these are some of the ways in which bariatric patients sabotage themselves. And the invitation for you is kind of like to explore first, how are you sabotaging yourself today? And what are you avoiding? Because remember, we all avoid different things, and that's why we sabotage ourselves. There's something that we are avoiding that we don't want to deal with. Let us know by the chat, please, if you're following us, and also if you have comments or questions.
There is a couple questions or comments coming in from Facebook. Somebody says working on getting the mindset right again, because when you're talking, I know a lot of this. Let me ask you this, Rodolfo. How is mindset and emotions connected in your mind? How would you say that those two things are connected when we're talking about self-sabotage?
So our thoughts are directly related to our inner states of emotions or emotions. If, for example, let's say that I go out to have dinner with friends, and then I'm telling myself I can't say no, or if I say no, they are going to judge me, okay? In the moment that they offer something to me, I might feel a sense of embarrassment or shame. And then, given that I had those thoughts first, the emotion was triggered. So I'm experiencing that shame or that embarrassment because I'm telling myself there's something wrong with me. I should say yes. Right? So our thoughts generate inner states or emotions.
Okay. So
Yes.
changing that inner dialogue, once you're aware, changing that can be helpful. There is some more too. Like somebody's talking about dealing with a family member that has a sister that has metastatic breast cancer and eating, like those emotions that are going back and forth regarding that and how it's affecting her eating. And somebody else is talking about being post-op and about 9 months out and finding it hard to keep going. So everybody's saying good information and
Mhm.
following. Somebody says I need to restart. Okay. And somebody says having a hard time sticking to it. So
So I would like to say, Karen, I'm so sorry for your sister that she's going through that. Remember that if you're struggling with emotional eating, there are tools that you can obtain to manage that, and you are able to release or manage your emotions in an alternative way. Okay. Actually, if you want, at the end of the session, I can share with you some resources. There's a book that I love on emotional eating that might be helpful for you. Thanks for sharing with us, and thanks for being vulnerable and opening up. Brenda, would you like to dive into additional causes of self-sabotage?
Yes.
Excellent, great. And what I'm going to do later, I'm thinking about the question that you asked about the connection between thoughts and emotions. I'm going to show that connection later. So that's coming up, okay? Yeah, we're going to dive into that in detail in a while.
I have the right questions, don't I?
Yeah, no, that's excellent. Like you're like bringing up the topics. So you're helping me to transition to next topics. So I love that. Yeah. So these are other causes of self-sabotage. The first one is a low self-concept. Okay. So I don't know, like I want you to imagine that when you were a kid, you had a sibling and you learned that your brother, your sister, they were smarter than you or more attractive than you, or that they were kind of like excellent and you were not good enough. Okay. And that's your perception of yourself. So that low self-concept about not being as smart or as good enough can affect you. And maybe today you feel that you are not capable or that you don't have what it takes to succeed in terms of this journey because like you are not enough or you don't have what is required. Okay, so that concept can affect you today. Then the second cause of self-sabotage could be that you are not able to manage your emotions. So again, nighttime, stress, anxiety. And given that you don't know how to deal with those emotions, maybe you turn to food. Or when you go out, you meet with friends, you don't know how to deal with rejection or with judgment. And that's why you end up eating things that you are not supposed to. Okay. Then we have not knowing how to deal with fears. And one of the fears could be fear of rejection. The other one could be fear of failure. I share with you the example of one of the participants of my classes. She wasn't attending her follow-ups because there was fear of failure. And given that she was not attending her follow-ups, she didn't know where she was actually, right? So she was in a regain and she wasn't aware of that. And then the other cause could be internalized beliefs. Beliefs like what? Like, I'm not enough. This is not for me. I'm going to fail. People will leave me, abandon me, reject me. I'm alone. Things are harder for me, etc. You can name them, okay? But we all have some limiting thoughts or thoughts that can affect our performance in different areas in our lives. And maybe you have thoughts connected to your bariatric journey that are affecting you. Like, I'm not going to be capable. This is for others, not for me. I can deal with this situation, for example, with the current challenges that I'm facing in my life. Nobody understands me. This is so hard for me, right? Like those could be examples of thoughts. Now, what's the importance of our thoughts and why am I talking about our thoughts? As we were discussing, our thoughts define our outcomes, okay? And also, there's a connection between our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and then outcomes. I would like to share with you an example so we can explore this sequence in detail, okay? So I want you to imagine the following. This is one of the classes that I tend to facilitate, which is kind of like stop sabotaging yourself during the holidays. Okay, that's a class that I typically tend to facilitate at the end of the year in the holiday season, because there's a lot of regain related to that part of the year. And I want you to imagine that, for example, if Thanksgiving, you go to this family event, a gathering, you arrive, and you were very clear that you were going to eat what you were supposed to. You brought actually your food, right? And you were not going to eat what others were eating. And then you arrive, you're there, people are sitting at the table, having dinner, sharing, etc. And somebody from your family offers you some food. And then you start thinking, oh no, what am I going to do? I will not be able to set boundaries. That looks delicious. I will not be able to control myself. Okay? That's the thought that emerged. I will not be able to control myself. If that thought emerged, I want you to think, how are you going to feel? What emotion is going to emerge after you start telling yourself that you will not control yourself? Okay, embarrassment. Okay, what else? Shame. Alanda, yes, anxiety. I can't control myself. So I'm going to share with you some definitions of emotions that are going to help you, okay, in this moment in particular. Anxiety is a fear to the unknown. So something will happen, and I don't know what's going to happen or what might happen. In this case, the thought is I can't control myself. So given that I can't control myself, I'm going to do things, and then I don't know what they're going to be, and they might be terrible. So it makes sense that the emotion that emerges is anxiety. Now, some of you shared other emotions such as shame and embarrassment. The definition of shame is that we feel that there's something wrong with who we are. That's shame. Guilt is there's something wrong with what I did, with a specific action that I did. So in that moment, when I'm in front of the plate, when I'm going to eat something, I haven't eaten yet. So it doesn't make sense that I feel guilty in that moment because I haven't eaten yet. The guilt is going to come after. After I ate what I'm not supposed to eat, I'm going to feel guilty. Now, I might feel embarrassed because maybe internally I had a huge expectation on how I was going to react, and I'm not reacting that way, and I'm feeling that I'm losing the control, and I'm embarrassed or I'm ashamed. Okay, so that would make sense. Now, the thought was I can't control myself. The emotion was anxiety. Okay, high levels of stress, maybe shame, embarrassment. What do you think I'm going to do if those emotions emerge? And I have in front of me a dish, a delicious dish. Thank you, Candice. Eat. Actually, I want you to know that when we experience those emotions, such as anxiety, embarrassment, intense emotions, our capacity to make powerful decisions lowers. Okay? We don't have the same capacity that we have if we are experiencing an inner state of calm, peace, and we are centered. So it's likely that in those moments, we are not going to make the best choices. Given that, I'm going to pick, I don't know, some turkey. I will try it. Okay. It's likely that it's going to be delicious. And then, given that, I'm going to just keep having some more, right? What's the result? At the end of the night, I ate a lot of things that I wasn't considering. So, if you notice, this is the sequence that explains why we sabotage ourselves and we don't do the things that we're supposed to. And everything starts with a thought, with a belief. So that's why it's so important to be aware of the thoughts that we're having that are the ones leading to self-sabotage. In this particular scenario that I shared with you, the thought was, I can't control myself. That was the thought, right? And then I experienced anxiety. I started eating when I wasn't supposed to eat anything of that, right? And then the result is that I didn't stick to my eating plan. I'm not proud of myself, right? That wasn't what I wanted. So if you would like to manage and tame self-sabotage, the first step is to be aware of the thoughts that are causing the behavior. What are you telling yourself? And those thoughts are connected to what we're avoiding too, right? And maybe in the case of that dinner for Thanksgiving, what I'm avoiding is the sense of lack of pleasure. Being there and maybe feel isolated, that I'm not having fun and I'm not enjoying as others are enjoying. And that's what is actually affecting me and also making me think that I should eat something and affects my decision making process. Let us know by the chat if you are following us, please. Candy says, absolutely. Alanda says, yes, I am. Okay, good. Awesome. Perfect. So what is a limiting belief? What is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is a belief or a thought that we have that is not aligned to our goals. So for example, I can't control myself. That thought or belief is not aligned with me sticking to an eating plan that is healthy, for example, right? I'm not worth it. That could be a limiting thought or a limiting belief. And maybe given that you feel that you are not worth it, you take care of others, you prioritize other people in your life, but then you neglect your own needs and your own wellness and well-being. And that's why you are not, for example, taking care of your meals and hitting your protein goals or your water goals every day and setting time aside to move your body, for example, right? Because you're so busy focusing on others. Another limiting belief could be people will judge me or reject me. And maybe that's why you don't communicate or express clearly your needs. You might feel that they will judge you because you went through the surgery, or sometimes you don't share it openly because you don't want them to think bad about you, right? And there might be other thoughts that could be affecting you. So I would like to open the space actually for you to share, and you can share by the chat, what limiting beliefs do you have? And what limiting beliefs are affecting right now your journey? And you can share with us. Okay, so I will fail, right? I will fail. That would be the thought, Alanda. Thank you. I'm horrible at meal prepping. Okay. Adrian says, I don't deserve it. I will never really get skinny. Okay, so that's not possible for me. That will be the thought. I will fail again. I can't stick to a plan more than 3 weeks. Time to exercise and prep. Okay, I can't control myself. I deserve a treat. I always fail. It's hard. I have never been able to lose weight before. I'm not normal. I am so busy. I am just starting. The journey seems so overwhelming. I think I doubt my ability to maintain time balance to eat normal or healthy. Okay. What else?
There's another comment on Facebook time. And I think that kind of goes along with, I'm so busy, like time to be able to make
I'm sorry.
changes.
Yeah, that's connected to like, yeah, we had that one here in the chat too. And I think it's connected. Brenda, I don't know what you think, but like, I don't have time, right? That's kind of like the thought too. Because given that I'm so busy, I don't have time and I can take care of myself or something like that. What else? Will I lose friends or family? Wow. Okay. So Veronica, could you elaborate more on like why you will lose them? Like what could be the cause of that? I'm curious. I would like to understand better kind of like the root of the thought. Thank you. I am truly afraid I'm going to gain it all back. Okay, and that's connected, Steve, with kind of like I will lose control at some point. My budget doesn't always allow for healthy meals. I'm busy taking care of everybody else. I have lost friends and family. I am afraid to lose myself. Okay, I'm different. Wow. I'm taking some notes, so then we can start working on these thoughts.
Yeah.
I definitely limited interactions after my surgery. Okay, social changes, not able to participate and share food tradition. Okay, perfect. So it's kind of like not fitting in. That's what I'm getting, like the new version of you, right? With the new habits. I don't know how to manage this new body and have started to sabotage. I have been attempting weight loss so long that I will make my goal now, and then what it will my life look like. Uh-huh. Wow, I need to say thank you for all the shares. This is so powerful. We have a lot of limiting thoughts and beliefs that you're sharing by the chat.
Pretty
Um,
powerful. I mean, like, there's a lot of them here.
yeah, no, a lot of them, and also like I need to like acknowledge you for being so vulnerable in the class, like today in this session in this support group. Like this is so powerful. I feel that sometimes we have these thoughts and people like feel a little shy or maybe embarrassed to share that they have them, and you're doing a great job. And I think this helps us to connect with our humanity and understand that we all struggle with these thoughts in different ways, but they affect us, right? Um, okay, so I would like to share with you some of the thoughts that I have seen in my clients that are bariatric patients that affect them. And then I would like to start working on some of the beliefs or thoughts that you shared. Okay. So we can start finding some alternative interpretations to them and you can start shifting those mindsets. So, one of the thoughts that some of my clients struggle with is I'm not capable. And when we talk about not being capable, that's connected to not having the resources that you need to accomplish a specific goal. And those resources could be skills, for example, right? We have been talking about emotional eating. So maybe if you feel not capable, maybe you feel that you don't have the resources to regulate your emotions. And the key to transform that thought is actually taking action and keep searching for the resources and generating them. If you know, for example, that you struggle with emotional eating, okay, what are you going to do? What are going to be your next steps? How are you going to learn techniques or tools to manage or transform emotional eating? In Bionation, for example, there's an emotional eating support group. There are some books that talk about that topic. But the point is to keep taking action. That's the point, right? If you freeze and you just internalize the thought, it's likely that it will take over, and then you are not going to have the resources that you need when the emotions that are intense emerge, and you will turn to food. Now, there's another thought that some of my clients share, which is I don't deserve it. Okay. Which is kind of like connected to thinking that this is for others and it's not for them, and that they are not enough. They are not good enough. Okay. And one of the things that you can do to transform that thought is to start connecting with your value. Like, where's your value as a person? What makes you valuable as a person, right? Because typically when we're telling ourselves that we don't deserve things, is because we are comparing with others, right? And we think that they are more valuable than us. But actually, we're all humans and we all have values that are different. Yes, they are different. We all have particularities, but one way out of that thought pattern is to connect with what makes you valuable as a person. Then the other thought that I've seen is too good to be true. I mean, like things are going excellent, I'm losing weight, etc. It feels too good to be true, and then kind of like getting scared, and given that, start sabotaging yourself unconsciously, so things cannot be as good as they are looking. And then the other one is I don't belong, I don't fit in, which is connected to what some of you were sharing by the chat. Now, there are some thoughts that I took notes on that you shared by the chat. One of them was I don't have time, I'm busy. And one of the things that we need to know to manage that thought is that we as humans, we all have limited hours in a normal day. We have 24 hours, and some of those hours we sleep. So we might be up, I don't know, 16 hours maybe. Some of those hours we work. So we all have skills that might be busy. And this is not about having time. This is about what you decide to focus on and what are the activities that you are prioritizing. If this is important for you today, your health, then it would be necessary that you set boundaries. And some of the times when I work with clients that struggle with this belief, they have a hard time setting boundaries, saying no, etc. So the issue actually is a problem connected to managing expectations from people, managing rejection, judgment, and also maybe feeling that you are not enough because you are not doing what you would like to do. Okay, that's the root. But the point is to be able to set those boundaries and understanding that if you don't prioritize your health today, in the future, you're not going to be able to do the task that you would like to do. Okay, so this is important and it requires to be a priority. Then the other thought that I saw was I will fail. And what I've seen a lot when people have this fear of failure is that they freeze, they don't take action, right? Like they paralyzed because they don't know what to do and they think that if they do something, they are going to fail. And my suggestion is to keep searching for strategies that will support you and getting the resources that you need. If you're struggling again with emotional eating, keep searching for resources. If you're struggling because you need accountability, find a pal or someone that wants to work with you. But like keep taking action. That's going to be essential. Oh, something happened. Oh, I'm back. Okay. Then the other belief that was mentioned was I will lose others. And or maybe I don't fit in, right? Like that line of thoughts. And the key to manage that thought is connecting to understanding what does love mean to you? And what are the type of relationships that you would like to cultivate? And what are your values? If you think that you're going to lose others because you're taking care of your health, I actually don't know if those relationships are healthy. Or maybe you and those people need to have a conversation on what you value and get your values aligned. But actually, your people should be glad that you're taking care of yourself and you're setting boundaries and actually should support you, right? And you can belong to a group without doing the things that the group is doing. Like I can meet with people, they, for example, can have drinks and I might not have drinks, but that doesn't mean that I don't belong or I'm different. And I can belong because I share, because like we share a story, because we have deep conversations, and there are other ways in which you can connect with people and feeling that you belong. Another thought that I noticed was I will lose control and I will regain the weight that I lost. And one of the things to manage that thought is actually thinking this as a process. So if you're here today and you think that you're going to gain weight, defining checkpoints and also strategies that you will develop if, for example, you gain 1 pound. And with that, you're going to gain a sense of control instead of thinking that you will lose the control. And there was another thought that was mentioned, which was I'm different. And guess what? We're all different. It's not just you. we all as humans have different particularities. So you're just part of humanity, and that's what is going on here. And other people are different too. Now, I'm talking about these thoughts, and I understand that I'd be sharing with you some tips that can help you to transform them. And there are some thoughts that it's not going to be that easy to transform. And I will tell you why. Because some of those thoughts were built in moments in which we experience intense emotions. And we have been reinforcing them throughout our lives. And maybe today the thought is emerging in our weight loss surgery, right? But actually it's not connected to the weight loss surgery. Maybe you have felt throughout your whole life that you don't fit in, and that's emerging today. Maybe you have felt throughout your whole life that you're a failure or that you will fail, and that's been triggered today in the surgery. And maybe you need to do a deeper work to transform or manage the thought. Actually, I always share this thought that I had that I built when I was a kid because I was overweight, which was the thought of there's something wrong with me. I remember that I was 6 years old, I went to school, I was a kid, and I was bullied. And given that I was receiving that treatment from my friends, I felt that there was something wrong with me that I needed to change. And the interesting thing is that that thought or belief stayed with me for the rest of my life. And when I was presenting my first facilitating my first workshop, I was thinking that there was something wrong with me and that people were going to judge me. And that happened when I started facilitating in English too. And I was thinking that there was something wrong with me. So why I'm sharing this with you, because the thought might be triggered today and it might be affecting your weight loss journey, but actually it's not connected to the journey. It was built in a specific moment from your life. And that's work that you need to do to transform that thought pattern and incorporate other narratives that help you to move forward. Okay? So I would like you to start checking your thoughts. This is a good beginning. Finding maybe some alternative narratives. And if you need additional help, remember, if you need additional resources, seek those resources. That's going to be my invitation. I feel that I have shared a lot, and I would like to know where are our attendees in terms of digesting the information and processing it.
Yeah. There is a question coming in, Rodolfo. It says, what happens if you don't know where the sabotage is coming from?
So one of the questions that you can ask yourself is the following. If you did what you're supposed to do that you're not doing because you're sabotaging yourself, what emotion would be triggered? That's a good beginning. For example, if you are not scheduling your appointment with the doctor, imagine that you schedule the appointment with the doctor and go to the doctor and see what happens, what emotional reaction emerges. And when that emotional reaction emerges, start thinking about the thoughts that you're having. And that could be a good kind of like light that will like kind of like help you to understand what's going on.
That's those are some great pointers. And I know, just to kind of add to what you were saying, I was taking some notes while you were talking. I think some of the things you were talking about, time, your own value, losing others, and control, I think that those do overlap, like you mentioned. It's not just in one area of your life, but like if you're having time issues, may not only be affecting your weight loss journey, but it may be affecting your career and your family. And I think really being intentional, like with the time piece, I think where you're spending your time, like maybe even looking at having somebody help you. I know for a little while my work was having us write down like I think it was 15-minute increments of what we were doing, just to kind of become aware of like what your normal schedule is like and what you're doing. And it made me realize how much time I was spending on like getting distracted. Like I would go down one thing, start thinking about something, and then I would start going down this rabbit hole with that. So that might be something to kind of help you. How much time do you spend on social media when you could be meal prepping? Or how much time do you spend needlessly doing a search? Yeah, a weird search on Google about something when you could be doing, XYZ. And then I think the value piece, you were talking about like looking at like basically the value you bring. But I also think it's really important for us to look at, it's not always even just about all of our skill sets and everything like that. It's easy to focus on that, but I also think who you are, like each of us are a soul and we're all valuable in that. It's like not even so much, you don't even have to be or do anything, just who you are and being here right now creates some type of ripple effect in that. So I just wanted to say those things. And I also say the control, you were talking about the choice points. I think we all like when it comes down to it, when you start feeling in these lower realms of these lower emotions, like you always have a choice point. And I think your choice point is to stay there or to find some way, like you said, to look at your emotions that are causing it or to look at the thoughts that are associated with it and to somehow slowly ease and transition out of that. And you can do that fairly quickly. I think it's just you always have a choice point.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, making the choice might be uncomfortable. And that's why sometimes we need the help and the resources, right? Like, I was thinking about the time management problem. And I remember that I had a client that she declared herself a workaholic. Okay. Like she couldn't stop working. And that was affecting her bariatric journey because she had a hard time setting boundaries in terms of work time. And she had a hard time setting boundaries because when she did, she experienced this feeling of losing control. If she wasn't working and like accomplishing goals and things in terms of her professional life, she felt that like something terrible was going to happen and she was not going to be prepared and she was going to lose control. And that emotion and feeling was that what she needed to work on, actually. The feeling of like, okay, if I'm not working, everything is going to be fine. I can set boundaries and like the world is not going to fall apart, right? That logically makes sense, but some of these decisions are filtered by our emotions. So when you have a hard time saying no, when you have a hard time setting boundaries, when you don't prioritize what you have to, then the invitation is to understand at the emotional level actually what is happening and getting the tools to manage those emotions. That's going to be my suggestion. Like, this is not like, a lot of people are like, oh, I sabotage myself, I hate myself for sabotaging myself. And it's like, you are sabotaging yourself because you don't have the resources you need to deal with your emotions and you're avoiding something. Like, and you need to go there and tackle that. And until you don't do that, you're going to keep sabotaging yourself, which is not nice to hear. I know that, right? But the good news is that if you do the work, you can overcome self-sabotage.
And how does that feel to stay in that anxiety, in that level of anxiety or of being uncomfortable? Maybe it's a being comfortable with being uncomfortable, you know?
Which is kind of like life. Life comes with challenges, and yes, we can be uncomfortable. But also, like what I've seen, for example, this client, she had an issue with time management. Like, of course, setting boundaries was hard, and she wasn't comfortable. But then she realized that like she could set boundaries, she could take care of herself, and nothing was going to happen. Like the world was not going to fall apart. And today she's like in her like goal in terms of weight loss. And that's exciting. And she's doing all the things that she was dreaming to do that she couldn't do. So it's just like it's exciting. Like it's so powerful. So my invitation is to challenge yourself and go to the root and do the work. That's my invitation. Yes.
I'm just reading comments.
Uh-huh. So Brenda, we're getting kind of like close to the end, right? Or not? Like the time
Yes, yes,
went
we
by
are.
went so fast.
I know it definitely did. How about I know some people had asked for resources, Rodolfo, and I know you mentioned something about you might be able to share those. I also want to share your contact information because I know there might be people who are looking for additional support in this in a way to be able to maybe overcome some of these things and on a deeper level and work individually. So, oh, what do we got here?
It's a great resource. If you struggle with emotional eating, this is a great book. When Food is Comfort from Julie M. Simon. So this is a great book. I love it, actually. Very helpful. And if you would like to get support and work with me one-on-one, because I have a coaching program and I support bariatric patients overcome self-sabotage, what I'm going to do is share my information to schedule a consultation with me by the chat. Is that okay, Brenda? Can I do that?
Absolutely. In fact, Rodolfo, I'm going to copy. I actually have it right here. How about I copy that and paste it into the chat? And then if you need to add to it, you can do that as well. I have your email, your website, your Instagram, and then how to schedule a discovery call.
Perfect. Excellent.
Is there anything at all, Rodolfo, that you would like to add to that?
No, I just would like to say that I just added the title of the book in the chat. So if you would like to check that, you will have the name there. And just say that I'm grateful of being here today. This was great. I'm glad to share resources with patients. And if you would like to work on your limiting beliefs and get tools to regulate your emotions and you need support, don't hesitate to schedule a discovery session with me. We're going to meet, we're going to start working, and then if it makes sense, I will share a little more about my program, in which I support patients to get tools to manage their emotions and overcome self-sabotage. Yes. So Sabrina, the name of the book is in the chat. Like I just the name is When Food is Comfort from Julie M. Simon. That's the name, but it's written in the chat, so you can check it. You're welcome.
I think it just feels good to everybody to know that you're not alone. Like a lot of these emotions, I'm so happy that people posted what they were thinking and feeling and being vulnerable enough, as you mentioned, to share those things because if you're thinking it, likely like a lot of these things I would resonated with. I understood, I mean, I went through those things as well. And I think knowing that other people are going through those things and you're not alone and it's sometimes it can be kind of a normal human experience to go through some of those feelings and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, humanity. So I love these workshops and sessions because I feel that we connect with our humanity. So we sometimes like we feel that we're special, we're different, we're the ones who struggling, and it's like no, like people struggle. Like yeah, you're just a
Oh,
human.
most
You do
definitely.
the
We're
best you
just
can.
human.
Exactly, trying to do the best you can with the resources you have, right? Yes.
Absolutely. Well, Rodolfo, I'm going to share. Is it okay if I share a little bit about our sponsor too as well?
Of course, I'm going to stop sharing my
Yes.
screen.
I'm excited that we're able to do these things. And I just want to send a heartfelt thank you for ProCare Health, which is a vitamin and supplement company that is sponsoring this event. And just want to say a huge thank you to them for allowing us to be together and to do this. And so the website for ProCare is procarenow.com. So I will copy and put that in the chat box. It'll be in the details description if you're listening to a replay, as well as all of the information that Rodolfo was sharing, his information, and then also the information related to the book that he mentioned. So when you go to procarenow.com, if you're wanting to connect to us on more events or you want to go back and listen to Rodolfo's event, there is a page under resources, the top tab. It's called Very Connected. And when you go there, I actually have that page open. When you go there, it basically will have the events for each month, and all of these are considered support groups. So Rodolfo's is listed right now in the second one. This will change. We usually just have the month's events on there. So the good news is that if you want to listen, if you want to use the same link that you registered for and go back and listen, you can do that. Or all of our events are added to, we have a YouTube channel and it's called ProCare Health. You can access that from this page. There's a little link on our website. Missed an event. Right now we have over 517 videos there. So lots of them. And actually you could do a little search. Once you get there, subscribe. There'll be a subscribe button so that you know when new events come out. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. And then you could do something fun like type in on the search on our page. You could type in Rodolfo and you're going to see all of these fun things that he's came here and talked to us about. Let's see how many here. There's a bunch. Oh my goodness, Rodolfo. There's probably
Wow, I didn't
maybe
know
close
that.
to 10.
It's
I don't know. There's
exciting.
a bunch of them. Yes. So you're welcome to come in if you like Rodolfo and you resonated with what he is saying. There's more support there as well. One of them being anxiety management. That just kind of fits probably really well with this topic. We've done self-sabotage before. Transforming your habits, beating burnout, sexual intelligence, sexual well-being, because Rodolfo has a master's degree in a degree called sexology, which I had never even heard about, but that's a fun little thing to go and investigate. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, and also feel free to guys to reach out to Rodolfo for just one-on-one support. Just, even scheduling a call with him, a discovery call, those are free, and you just basically just learn if maybe there's something that you can do to work together. I also want to come back here to the ProCare site real quickly, and I just want to like emphasize some of our newest products and some of the fan favorites. When you see the banner here, you'll see some of these fun things that we have on promotion right now. We have a 15 to 20% off on our fruity products, which include our mocktails, our citrus flavored chewables, and our chew tablets. So check that out. You get 20% off. Use the code fruity20 when you go in and uh, put your order in. Also want to say, if you've never tried ProCare, we do have free samples. There's a little button you can click at the top of the website that says interested in free sample. You can click there. Also want to mention, let's see, on our banner here, the metabolic G3A. This just came out about a month ago, guys, and it's basically meant to help with those people that are on a GLP-1 to help support that. If you're not on a GLP-1, but you're wanting some of the same benefits, like that support with your metabolism, that gut balance, helping regulate your blood sugars, helping with cravings. It's 1 tablet a day, or you can increase it up to 2 tablets a day. And I've been on it for about about a month and a half now. And actually, I've seen about a 2 pound weight loss. I had been trying to get my weight down from Regain. I've done that, but I was wanting to just kind of just stay where I'm at, or maybe lose a pound or two. And it definitely was a little metabolic booster. So I want to give a big shout out to that. Something new to try, our new peaches and cream calcium supplement. We also have a new iron supplement it has like a little bisected tablet where you could cut it in half. So it's 60 milligrams. You could cut it in half for two. It's chelated, so it's a really easy to tolerate type of iron tablet. So if you're having a hard time taking your iron or you're needing more iron, great supplements. And then we have a new aftercare program, afterpay program, which is shop now and pay later. If you're wanting to place a large order, but you're wanting to put it into payments. So we try to make it affordable. Kind of go there. So just want to say thank you. I know we're right at time. And Rodolfo, any closing thoughts?
No, nothing. Just like thank you. I love being here with you, Brenda. Thanks for inviting me. This was a pleasure. And I hope I will see the participants in a future class, session, meeting, discovery call, or anywhere they would like to meet again. Yeah.
I also want to say, I know, Rodolfo, I have subscribed to your on Eventbrite. You have a page, I guess, on Eventbrite, and I've subscribed to that. And I always am getting your listings of your new programs that you're offering, because you do like a lot of like these classes and stuff like that. Also on Berry Nation, I want to give a shout out. Berry Nation is a community for bariatric patients. It's a paid community, very, very, very affordable. But check that out, Berry Nation, and Rodolfo hosts classes on there once a month. Rodolfo?
Yes, once a month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for all the kind comments that I see coming in. Have a blessed evening and take care. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.